Hello, quilting friends. This is Carmen Geddes, and I am here to talk to you about day 9 of Colchester Mill Fabric and Quilting. Stuff your stocking. And what I'm going to introduce to you is a really fun and different way to make endless quilt projects called Easy Piecing Grid. So just by way of a little demonstration to give you a little teaser of what is to come, Easy Piecing Grid is a lightweight iron-on foundation. It's going to be a little hard to see in this video, but there is a grid printed on this foundation. And we actually print this ourselves, and we print this in panels. So what I'm holding up right here is one panel of our 1.5-inch finished. We label these by the finished size of the square. And we actually print Easy Piecing Grid in 4 sizes, starting at 2-inch finished, and we go all the way down to our little 1/2-inch finished. And so because we're piecing on a foundation, we're going to change how we put these quilts together. Typically, when we are making a quilt, we think about block by block or strip piecing, but the way that we design all of our patterns is this is the quilt behind me, actually in the 1-inch finished. When we design any of our patterns, what we do is we take that whole project and we just divide it up into sections. And each of these sections represents a panel. And so when we are making a quilt, instead of thinking about block by block, we divide it into panels. So this is a pretty big quilt, pretty big project. This is a 20 panel project. But because we print in 4 sizes, every project tells you how big it will be if you're piecing with 1, 1.5, or 2-inch finished. So when you're making a quilt, the most important thing is you're going to turn this over so that the bumpy or fusible side is up. And of course, you are going to cut out your squares, and then you are going to just start placing your squares following your layout right on the panel. And so when all these squares are where you want, you're going to give this a really good pressing so they're nice and secure. And then we're going to just fold it on this fold line and sew the 1/4-inch seam. So no pins. Fold it on the fold line, sew your 1/4-inch seam, and we're going to sew through this panel going in one direction. Now before we sew the other way, we've got one more step that's going to make a big difference in this finished quilt top. So this is that seam that you just sewed, and you're going to snip between each of those squares right up to that stitch line. And the reason for this snip, I'll show you here, the reason for that snip is so that we can press those seam allowances going opposite directions, so that when you do fold right sides together to sew the other way, what happens is those seams are automatically nested perfectly. So there's no pinning, there's no adjusting. You're going to just sew your seams going in that opposite direction, and then this is how it's going to turn out. So you'll see that all of those points, all of those intersections are just perfect every single time. And did I mention no pinning? And so the other nice thing is this foundation stays in your quilt. And so your quilt top is going to be stable and flat, but you can imagine how stretchy just this piece would be. So for me, it was about being able to piece these wonderful vintage patterns, some of these great quilts that we have, because those gals were sewing them together with needle and thread. But I'll tell you, the sky is the limit. What really changed my quilting more than anything else is what I would call traditional patchwork. So this is a section, see how this panel is bigger? This is our 2-inch finished panel. And so this is a section of one of the sampler quilts that's in one of our 5 books. And what we're doing with traditional patchwork is we're breaking everything down into squares and half square triangles. So you pre-sew your half square triangles using your favorite technique. You're going to place it on this foundation just like you do the squares. And the trick for getting great points every time is lining up the seam from corner to corner on your foundation, and that's it. So what that actually means for me is that my cutting does not have to be perfect because this foundation is. And so to simplify traditional patchwork, and have those points come out beautiful every time. And then to have the sewing be the easiest part of the whole thing was a huge game changer for me. So the other good news is basically this demo that I just showed you is how you sew every single project, whether you're making a little pincushion or whether you're making a king size quilt. The process is the same. And so that to me is the real beauty of Easy Piecing Grid. Colchester Mill Fabric and Quilting are going to have all 5 of our books available for you, but they have some other fun surprises for this day 9 of Stuff Your Stocking event. What we're going to focus on in this event is our 6-panel packages. So like I said, these are printed by the panel. We design all of our projects by the panel. And so these are 6-panel packages. This one is our 1.5-inch finished. This one is our 2-inch finished. And so the beauty of this is right on this package, if you sew all 6 panels into one project, it's going to be 40.5 by 42 inches before border. If you're doing the 2-inch finish, it's going to finish 54 by 56 inches before border. That's in one project, but what if you break these up into several smaller projects? So that is your teaser for the day. So if you have any questions, the gals at the shop have all the answers. Our website is tensisters.com. We've got lots of tutorial videos that you can check out. Merry, Merry Christmas.